Hello, everyone. This is why I'm up today with. For those who don't know, this is me and my dad's podcast, Generational Divide. We talk about a lot of topics. We bring people on. We brought in Mark on, my grandma on, and sometimes it's just us two. We'll talk about politics, mainly just life. But today we have a special guest. We have the founder of the Stephenville boxing club, Elias Medina. So,
Hello.
tell us a bit about yourself.
Um, so I do you want me to tell you like how
Oh, yeah, okay.
grew up? Or
Let's let me be more clear about that. How did you create this Stephenville Boxing Club? Sorry.
So I started boxing when I was like, I would say 11, 12 years old, 7th, 8th grade, around there. I did good, and I started with John Lawson. They called him the lawman in the colony, and we actually started. We actually trained in his backyard. He built these two sheds together and built a gym, so it was pretty cool. And that's where we trained at, and then we would go travel to spar, and then we do tournaments and stuff like that. And I had a pretty good amateur career. I boxed for 11 years, off and on, because I was doing bad things too. As a teenager, like not doing what I was supposed to do. But I stopped fighting because I started getting headaches. But it wasn't because of boxing; it was because of football. I got a lot of concussions in football, and it kind of just carried over. But so in 2008, me and my wife moved here to Tarleton to go to school, to finish school, kind of just to make a better life for ourselves. And I didn't really touch boxing after that. Like I just kind of forgot about boxing. I just didn't really pay attention to. I mean, I watched it, but I just didn't really do.
You lost.
I just didn't really
Lost your taste for it.
Yeah. And that wasn't really. I was burned out. I just didn't. It wasn't a part of my life anymore.
It's like, oh, I'm an adult now.
Yeah, exactly. And then I hurt my hip. Like in 2015 or something, and I gained a bunch of weight, kind of got depressed, and then didn't know what I was going to do. And then I got a hip replacement, and it was like kind of a miracle. I don't know if anybody's ever had a hip replacement. Like you go from having so much pain one day, and then like right after, nothing. So then I just kind of felt like I just wanted to kind of trying to find something to do, like as far as hobbies. Because really, I was just watching. Like I'm a big Cowboy fan, Dallas Cowboy fan, so I was really into the Cowboys. I still am, but and then my daughter was already getting older, so like her athletic career and the stuff that she was doing athletically kind of dwindled out, and she kind of started like focusing on what college she was going to go to. So I just didn't have anything. Well, like felt like what was going to be. I guess I was trying to figure out what was in life that I could do, and then what was missing in my life, because I wasn't depressed, but there was something missing, and I was like, maybe it's boxing. So I ordered a bunch of equipment, and I started kind of training myself, but then I was like, it's something else. So I called my buddy Marshall, and we had met at FMC like 10 years prior. When I first moved here, he was like one of my first friends, and we met him through work. And he saw his son Mark. I like this is previous to all this, like starting, like buying my equipment and all that. And this Mark was still young, like 3 or 4 years old, and I was over there. Like I think they had a barbecue or something. They invited us over there, and I was like wrestling with the kids, and Mark threw a punch, and I was like, man, this kid could be good at boxing. I just put that in the back of my mind. That was like in 2013 or 14 or something. It was like way back. And then I just put that in the back of my mind, and then I called Marshall, and I was like, hey, you think Mark wants to fight? And he's like, what? I was like, do you think he wants to box? He's like, do you want to coach him? And I was like, yeah. I was like, that's what I'm saying. I'm asking you to let me coach him. He's like, yeah. And I was like, I got a bunch of equipment. I ordered it. We can start in my garage. So we just started training in my garage, and I started posting videos. And then I took him sparring for the first time, and I took him to my my coach, and then like right when I started, I mean, kind of back up a little bit. Right when I started boxing, right when I started back up in boxing, my coach passed away. Like I had been in contact with him, and he was like, he was looking forward to me bringing Mark to spar. And so I was working towards getting Mark ready to go spar, and then he passed away, like unexpectedly, and that was like a real, I don't know, that kind of broke me, because he was like my dad. I don't want to get emotional, but he was like my dad, and you know, he there was a time in my life when I was a kid that things weren't really going well at home, and he kind of like stepped in and, you know, took care of me, and like, you know, what was that father figure. And I'm not saying anything bad about my dad. My dad was a good man. He was a good father too. But, you know, he there was a time in my life when my dad wasn't doing what he was supposed to do as a man, and my coach, he stepped in and did that. Like he stepped in and like became my father figure.
Sorry, you're shaking and shaking.
Oh, I'm sorry. He stepped in and like was like my father. And then, you know, his son Jamal, you know, we grew up together. We known each other since like, I don't know, like 4 or 5 years old, 6 or 7 years old. And I knew him before I even started boxing, because my babysitter used to live on Arbor Glen. There's a street in Colony, but people that see this, they'll know, that are from the Colony, know where Arbor Glen is at. So she was a babysitter. She babysitted a bunch of kids. Her name was Janie. Shout out to the Ibarras. But so when we go play outside, Jamal lived behind the street over, so they shared each other's alleys. So Jamal would come out too, and we all played with each other. And I remember his house specifically because at the time my coach was training people out of his garage, and his garage had a bunch of like boxing memorabilia and boxing equipment. So when I go play with Jamal, like I would hit the bag, but you know, I didn't know how to punch or nothing like that. I just was doing it for fun. And then we just go off and play. But that's just a little side note. So me and Jamal know each other since we were little, and then when I started boxing, me and him became closer, and then we're kind of like brothers. So that you know, when he died, that I felt like I needed to, you know, do something to honor him. So I saved some money up, and I opened the gym up in February. So my coach died like right after COVID. So I think it was like the end of October, and then that following February I opened the gym up, and then just kind of took off from there. And I've had success, but it's not me. It's God, because if I didn't have God and people praying for me, I don't think my gym would be successful. And then, you know, my wife and my daughter and my family are real supportive, so that's also been a help.
Ooh. So what was your goal at first? Like when you first, I understand, like, you know, trying to get better, but like when you first opened the gym with Mark, back in 2013, 14, what goal did you have?
It was in 2021. Oh, I guess my goal wasn't even to train a bunch of people. Like, it was just to train Mark. But people, like when I posted stuff on Facebook, people were like, "Hey, why don't you train my son? Why don't you train my son? Or why don't you train my daughter?" And I was like, I can't do that in my garage. You know what I mean? So my wife was like, people are interested in it. You should do it. We should start saving money up and do it. So that's what we did. So that's how we opened it. But initially, my goal was only to train Mark. Like, I wasn't planning on training anybody else. And then it just me posting stuff on Facebook of him sparring and stuff started gained attention.
When did you when did you have the logo created?
I don't know. My wife helped design the logo, and we kind of just put it together, and then my wife kind of designed it. And then honestly, it was kind of hard. Like, after we had the money to open the gym, we were kind of like throwing around names
and logos.
Yeah, names and logos. So like, at one time it was gonna be it was gonna name after my coach's gym. Then I talked to Jamal, and he was like, he said, I don't know, we need to save that because next time, what if we both of us become big and then we could open just one big gym called Lawman's Gym. So I didn't do that, and then I was gonna name it after my dad's nickname, my dad's family nickname, which
What's his nickname?
Juba. So
Juba?
yeah, so it was gonna be Juba's Boxing Club, and then it was just like
Sorry for my ringtone. Okay.
Stephenville Boxing just sounded better. I guess because we're in Stephenville, and then the boxing club, and I wanted to I didn't want to call it Stephenville Boxing Gym. I wanted to call it a club because
It just rolls off the tongue.
yeah, but also people don't understand like the history behind boxing. Like a club is a boxing club. They call it a club because you are a part of a club. Like you're like a elite. When I say elite, I don't mean like you're better than people. What I mean is like you have to earn yourself to be in that club. It's like a membership, but it's not like membership you can just buy into. I mean, you earn yourself, you earn your respect in the gym.
It's something that takes prestige.
Yes. So that's why they call it a club, because there's more like there's like a stable or like a lineage towards that, I guess you could say.
So I got a question. When was your first fight? Like, do you know exactly when?
Yeah.
Or how it went out?
Yeah, I always tell people this story, like kids this story when they get nervous. Like when we fought, I was in I think it was in Redbird. I'm trying to remember the gym's name. I think Jamal knows it if I'd ask him. If I asked him the name, I can't remember the name. But anyways, it was like in the middle of summer, middle of July. It was hot, and it was in this warehouse. It was in Redbird. I think it's Redbird. Red Oak, Texas. And it was just me and my coach. I was the only one in that tournament that day. And all the kids were like working out. They were warming up in the AC part of the gym, because it was in this big gym, warehouse gym, but they were like in the office part because it was so hot. And like it could have been easily 120 degrees inside in the ring. It was hot. And I remember warming up, and I looked outside, and across the street there was a gas station, and there's a payphone there. Back then there was payphones, like in the 90s there was payphones. And I was thinking like, man, am I allowed to cuss?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just a bit.
I was like, man, you know what? F this. I'm just gonna go call my dad and tell him to come pick me up. Cause I was so scared and nervous, I didn't know what to do. Like I would say 90% of me wanted just to say, screw this, I'm just gonna go across the street, call my dad, and him pick me up, and F boxing. Cause I was so scared and nervous, and but I was like, I can't do that either. So I just sucked it up, and I went in there, and I fought, and I won my first fight.
You did? You won?
Yeah, I won my first fight, and then it just took off from there.
So you said at that point, that's when you thought, hey, you got a gift. You had a passion for it. That's when you realized you naturally had a gift for it.
Yeah. And I wasn't really a power puncher. I was more like, I had a lot of speed, and my coach used to make fun of me and be like, man, you got no power. You're like Hector Camacho, no power but all speed. So I would try to but speed kills. So I would try to just outwork people with hand speed, counter and stuff. I was a counter puncher, so I used to watch a lot of old, because my coach used to have all these old, I think they're 8mm reels, and we used to watch them, and they were like all the old fighters, like Sugar Ray Robinson, Joe Louis, Jake LaMotta, Kid Galvan. Like he had all these old reels, and then he had converted them. He met this guy. I can't remember I met this guy. He was like a boxing historian. He met this guy that was a boxing historian that was in the colony. I can't remember his name, but his son is David Oliveris that we grew up with. Shout out to David. His dad loved boxing, and he has like this, I bet you, if somebody went into David's dad's house, there would be the biggest collection of boxing tapes ever. Like, I'm serious. Like the
just-
best
are we
library.
Talking,
like,
are we talking shelves of it? Like,
no, yeah, he probably has shells. Like, he has every video, every fight from, like, I would say 1930. I don't know. He has a library, bro. Like, the big, like, it's like a hidden gem. Like, I bet you, like,
are we talking original tapes? Like,
no. So, like, what he did was, so he got a bunch of the reels that my coach had, and he converted them into VHS tapes. So, like, back in the day, well, not back in the day, like in the 90s and 80s, we didn't have DVD or we didn't have streaming. We had a videotape, VHS. So what he did was he put all those old fights on VHS. So, like, he has a library of, I don't know exactly, he has so many, like, I don't know, like, David, I don't even think David knows. Like, I talked to David about it once, and he's like, yeah, he has a giant collection. Like, I bet you, like, ESPN, if ESPN found out about it, they would do, like, a story on him, because that's how big his library is. But anyways, so my coach did that. So we watched a bunch of tapes. He had a bunch of tapes on all this stuff like that. But, you know, what my coach did too, though, was it wasn't always about boxing. Like, he was like a scholar. When I say like an amateur historian, because he didn't have a degree in history or a master's degree or a doctor's degree in history, but he loved history and he read the Bible a lot, and he studied a lot, and he would give me books to read, like, about different people, like about civil rights, and like, gave me a book about, like, Malcolm. I didn't know anything about Malcolm X, and I always thought Malcolm X, like, taught hate, and then until he gave me a book about him, I started reading about him, and then about Martin and Medgar Evans, and then
so he was like self-taught.
Yeah, he was self-taught. Yeah, he was self-taught, and then we go through Bible. We do have the Bible debates, and we go through have Bible studies and stuff like that, and like, he was just well versed, like, real knowledgeable about stuff, and he would tell me, like, here Bones. He called me Bones because he called me Bonehead because I was boneheaded. I don't know why. That's what he named me. So everybody calls me Bones. So, like, he would give me a book and be like, hey man, read this and tell me what you think about it. So I read it and I tell, like, he was like, he made me do, like, a book report. But I mean, he didn't make me. He would just say, hey, read this and then tell me what you think about it. And then, like, on the way to sparrings, we would talk about it, like, hey, what you think about this in that book? What you think about that? Like, you know, so we just
something to share.
Yeah. So it was just like, we also bonded through that. So, because I love history, you know, I originally wanted to be a football coach and history teacher, but I didn't end up doing that. I'm a social worker now, but you know, I did my degrees in history, and I have a master's degree in history. So, like, we even connected even more because of that. And then there was a lot of times, like, it was just me and him going to spar or going to a tournament, and we just talked for hours about different things, and that's how we bonded too. But so, like, going back, that, you know, that's what we do. So he would, and I try to do that with my fighters too. So I tried to send them YouTube, because now a lot of stuff is on YouTube. So I send them YouTube videos of different fighters and, like, hey, you need to study this guy and do this. And honestly, like, I don't really watch that many YouTube videos because there's a lot of coaching YouTube videos, but I don't do that. Like, what I do is I watch old fighters, and I watch their coaches, and I'll listen to what their coaches are telling them in the ring. So that's how I make myself better, because all those old school coaches, everybody thinks they're outdated, but they know all the old tricks. They're the ones that taught all the old fighters, and they're like, to be honest with you, boxing isn't what it used to be. So, like, all the old fighters, they learn from their coach, and those they know what they're talking about. Like, all the great fighters, like, to me, honestly, there's not any more great fighters out there. Like, those fighters died off. Well, not died off, but they retired in the late 90s and early 2000s. So, like,
It's batch of
so
generation.
Mayweather is a great fighter, but he's the greatest defensive fighter, but he's never been in any great fights. Like, nobody can name me one great fight that he was in, except maybe Corrales and him, and that was Mayweather was still Pretty Boy Floyd before he became Money Mayweather. So he's never been in any great fights. Like Pacquiao, maybe Pacquiao is probably one of the last greats, like that generation with Cotto and them. But after that, like Ryan and Devin and Canelo, I would say yes, but, like, he's kind of ruined his legacy by not fighting the best. Because back then, in the 80s and 90s and 70s, the boxers would fight the best because they wanted to be the best. So they didn't care if they win or lose. They wanted to fight the best. They wanted to be the best. So the only way to be the best is we fight the best. So that's what they would do. So like a lot of people talk crap about De La Hoya, but De La Hoya's, in my book, is top 10 because he fought everybody. I mean, he didn't beat all of them, but he lost a lot of them, but he still fought everybody. And he was in great fights too. And like another one is Arturo Gatti. Arturo Gatti, a lot of people don't know who that is, but he was a warrior. He fought so many great fights, entertaining fights. To me, that's what makes a great fighter, is if they're entertaining, they got the heart, and they were willing to die, almost die in there. And, so, Mike Tyson talks about that too. Like if you listen to his podcast, he talks about Ali. Like he gets emotional and says, I'll die for this. I mean, Ali would die for this. I won't die for this, but Ali would. But that's the kind of person Ali is. That's what makes him great. So like Sugar Ray Robinson, that's why he was so great, because he was willing to die. He had that warrior mentality to go out on a shield, and that takes a lot of guts and heart to do that. So that's why I tell my fighters, like, if you want to be great, you have to be willing to die in there, or go out on your shield. And I don't really mean like die, but you need
go
to, go do
extent.
Yes.
Ooh, all right, so 21 minutes in, covered a lot. A lot of content.
Hey, don't get me talking, bro. I'll talk all day.
That's good. We might have to extend this to like an hour and a half.
Whatever, man. Whatever. Well, I'm here as long as you want me to.
We'll go. Let's see. So like, when did when you first started all this, I understand like the fight you were talking about, like really like boxing, when you started boxing, but also when you started becoming a coach. Those two things, were they at all, mainly the coach one, was it at all stressful like at first? I understand when you said you were going to fight, but when you were first coaching and you started bringing in more people, you're like, everyone's like, hey, teach my kid, teach my daughter, teach my son. Like, was it at all like having to pay for the gym maybe, or getting them?
So like I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. That was almost.
No, so like the first tournament we had, I put a bunch of fighters in there, and they were all green except Mark. And went to San Angelo. Everybody lost except Mark, and I was like, oh crap! Like I don't know what. Maybe I put them in too early, or what? Maybe they weren't ready. You know what I mean? And I was just like, dang. So then I revamped it. And I was like, maybe I get some more time. And then what it took was, it's just like I had started in February, and then we had our first tournament in June. And I think what it took was, me just like implementing my boxing system into those kids. And I probably first tournament, I probably always should have put Mark in there, because he already been training with me for almost a year. So he already had like knew like my expectations, what to do, and kind of the style that the boxing style that I teach, like the lawman style, which also goes back to like just a little history lesson. In boxing, there's stables, so like there's always a father of the stable. So like whatever your coach was trained by, it goes back to some like famous boxer or coach. So like my coach, his coach was Sandy Sadler, who was one of the greats. And so like our style, if you watch Sandy Sadler's style and you watch what my coach taught, you start seeing like the similarities. So like it just gets passed down. So it's kind of like it's a stable. So like it gets passed down from generation to generation. It's like a birthright kind of thing. Yeah. So that style that my coach taught me, it like maybe I kind of probably rushed it a little too early, and like not all the kids were ready. But I threw, sometimes you got to throw them into the fire to see what happens. But it was probably a little too early. But the next term we put them in, all my guys won. So it just took a while for them to get implemented into the system, and then once they did, it kind of took off.
Who all did you have? Did you have Isaac back then, or did you?
No, so Isaac came the second year. So a year later he came. So I had the gym open for a year, and then actually almost a year. That January before the year, he started in January, and that kid came in like I love all my fighters. Don't get me wrong, but like Mark and Isaac, and then there's Hawk, Marcus Gonzalez. Shout out that boy needs to come back to the gym because he's wasting his talent. So if you see this podcast, boy, come back to the gym. But anyways, so so it was Mark, Isaac, and then Puma. Kind of initially started off. We were kind of the first ones that started in my gym. Well, Puma started earlier, but they were kind of the first ones that kind of to really take off and do good, have success with Stephenville Boxing Club. And Isaac came into the gym like, man, he was like 180 pounds, and it was in January, like the end of January. And by the end of May, early June, I put him in his first tournament, and he was down to 138. He was in shape. He was ready to go. I mean, he lost his first fight, but it was close. He just at first. Sometimes people lose their first fight is because of nerves, and they forget, which is good because sometimes they need that. So the next time they just take off. Like there's fighters that have lost the first fight and then won 10 and 15 in a row. You know what I mean? Sometimes they just need to get that first jitters out, and then they just take off from there. And then, like I said, so after Isaac did that, Isaac won 4 in a row after that. And so he started then, and then he did pretty good. I've taken him to nationals. He's won a couple fights at nationals, and he actually fought a good fight against Yadir, who was like number 1 at the time. I think he is still number 1, and he gave him some problems. He didn't like walk over Isaac. Isaac gave him some problems. It was a close fight. So that's how kind of Isaac's been in the game, and now he's helping me coach. So, and he's doing a good job, and he's learning. Yeah, he's willing to learn too. So shout out to Isaac.
So he's gonna just start helping you.
Yeah, he's been helping me for almost a year now, and he's learning, and he's learning. He's learning how to be coach, and I think he's doing a good job. I mean, he's made mistakes, but he's still young, and the first time when you're first coach, you're gonna make mistakes, but he's getting better.
He's gonna take over.
I don't know if he might take over. He might take over the part of the gym, and like when I start getting some pros, he'll take over the amateur part, hopefully.
So is there a skill you think? Is there a skill that you think people should already be like in the process of developing?
Like when they start boxing?
Or in boxing or in life?
So I think boxing is for everybody because the reason why I say boxing is for everybody is because, especially for kids, it teaches them like to face adversity. It teaches them to face adversity in life because you're gonna have adversity in life, ups and downs. What matters in life is that when you have those adversities, that you come back. You don't let that adversity keep you down, or you don't give up. So in boxing, that's the same thing. You could correlate that to life because you work hard and you have some ups because you're winning, but then you have downs when you lose. What matters is you come back, you get back in that ring. It's the same thing in life. You might in the sparring too, so you might get up, you might go to sparring, get your butt beat bad, and you're crying, and everybody cries. Like I've cried in sparring, everybody cries. So when people like cry, like they feel ashamed, like what are you crying for? Like it's okay, like everybody's cried. So whoever said that when they sparred and they didn't cry afterwards, that's a lie. Because everybody I know has cried, and if they're lying, if they say they haven't, they're lying. But anyways. So even with getting beat up in sparring, and then like a lot of kids, I'll put them in sparring to see if they're gonna quit or not. Because I tell them all the time, it don't matter if you get beat up. What matters is that you come back and you're better. It matters you come back and get in there. And like I tell people all the time, like it takes a special person to get in that ring because not everybody can do it. Not everybody can do that. Not everybody has the guts to do that. And not everybody has the guts to come back after they get beat up either. Like there's people that will get in there and they get beat up and they'll never show back up. But it takes a lot of guts to come back and do that. And I just correlate that with life because you're gonna You're gonna have ups and downs. You're gonna have success. You're not gonna have success. But what matters is that you keep fighting and you don't give up and you don't quit.
So, sorry, we've come to the 30-minute mark. I got one last question. Do you have anything to say to someone who might be currently struggling with encouragement or lack of strength to keep on fighting? They're starting to, just walk down the path of what you were just talking about, walking away.
Well, there's a couple fighters that are like that I bug them, and they probably get mad because coach is like, he's always bugging me. But I bug them because I see something in them, and I don't want them to waste it. You know what I mean? Like it's like God gave you something, and then and God's telling you, hey man, I gave you this. It's not gonna be easy. Like I gave you this talent, and God gives you something that doesn't mean it's gonna be easy. So, like, there's a couple fighters. I already mentioned one that has so much talent, but they're just being lazy. And I bug them all the time. Like, hey, you need to get back to the gym. You got all this talent. Don't waste it. Because there's gonna be an eventual time that you're gonna be too old, and then you're gonna try to come back. It's gonna be too late. You're gonna lose everything. It's not gonna. It happens all the time. Like people think, oh, I can come back, in 5 years, but when they come back, it's not the same. They lost a step. They're not as fast as they used to be. They have to. If they do come back, they have to work extra harder to get back. And not a lot of people are willing to do that when they come back. They're not willing to put the extra work to get back into shape, and to get their timing back, and to get back into sparring, because it's not just you can't. It's not. I tell people all the time, boxing is not like any other sport. Like you can't just walk away from it and come back and think you're gonna be good, because if you walk away from it for a certain amount of years, you kind of come back. You're gonna have your timing. You're not gonna be in shape. All that stuff plays the key. So and then when you try to hit the bag and you're trying to do drills on bags, you'll be like, man, why am I doing this? Well, I can't do this anymore. And some people aren't willing to do that. Some people are like, screw this. They come back for a week and they're like, you know what, coach, I can't do this anymore. Like it's not gonna work out. But there's some people that are willing to work extra hard to get back into that form. And then you lose years too. So like boxing also, when you're sparring and stuff, everything, sparring and fighting tournaments, it takes a little bit out of you every time. So, and then you don't get that back. So if you take a break and then try to come back, you lost all that time. So boxing is a sport that you need to be consistent with. If you're really gonna take it seriously, you need to be consistent in it. Like you can't just take breaks and expect to be good again. There's exceptions to that, obviously. Not every there is exceptions to that, but 9 times out of 10, it's not like that.
It's just consistency.
Yeah, you gotta be consistent with boxing.
Come back.
Yeah, you have to be consistent with boxing, and also I tell people too all the time, is like you can have the most talent. There's a lot of talented fighters, but if they don't have the work ethic, they're not gonna be good. They might do good at the beginning, they might win some national titles, but when they face somebody that's been working their butt off, they're gonna lose because the person is gonna outwork them and do what they have to do to win.
I've gone down to all my questions, but are there any final one? Do you any last things to say to someone, to the camera, who might who's looking right now, oh, boxing, here's the story, saying something like, hey, any words of encouragement?
So yeah, boxing is for everybody. So if you see this podcast, I'm not saying join my gym. You can join any gym that you're close to, and it's for everybody. You don't have to compete to be in boxing. You can just go for the camaraderie. You just go to get in shape. You can learn skills, and you can learn life skills in boxing. 2, thank Wyatt Ramos for having me here and doing the podcast. Appreciate it. And then just thank everybody. Thank you for having me on.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Elias.
Yes, sir.
It's all right. So we've come to the end. I'd like to thank y'all for watching, and I hope y'all, especially if you're ever think about getting into boxing, or you're young or you're old, you know, these words of encouragement, I hope they've helped you of your journey, whatever you're doing. This isn't just for people who want to get into boxing. It's people who also, you know, they're down on their luck. Whatever happened in your life right now, I hope it goes well. I hope this episode really helped you. Thank you for watching.